Hello everyone, my name is Valentina Nunez and my midterm project for this semester is on Greek versus Roman art. It is obvious that art shapes our lives in so many ways. To many people, that is in fact their entire lives. Thanks to many archaeological findings, Greek art has shaped our world in so many ways. The Greek society is embedded in our consciousness. To the epic poem of Homer's The Odyssey, the treatise of Aristotle, visions of epic battles, white temples, limbless nudes, brightly paintings, you name it. If not all, but most things have been influenced by the wonderful minds of the ancient Greek. The ancient Greeks were a unified set of people. They were gathered through language, religion, and legend. The most important written works of early Greeks are known as the first masterpieces of Western literature, such as the Siege of Troy and the Ancient City in Asia Minor. These shared values were known as the Pan-Hellenic sanctuaries and festivals that embraced the Greek society. Greek art can be traced all the way back to the Dark Ages that lasted from 1100 to 800 BCE. There are plenty of artifacts that demonstrate obsidian structures, network of graves, burials dripped in gold, and horse sacrifices. In fact, one that is shown on the screen that intrigued me the most is a centaur figurine that was made on potter's wheel and hand-formed in human limbs and features. This alluded to mythology and the centuries of cultural richness. In fact, by 600 BCE, many Greek thinkers began to bring to life the supplement of myths into the lives of the people. These myths were influenced by the philosophical speculations on the nature of things. Ideas such as rationalism and monism were emerged due to the different outlooks on life. The term what is was a consistent thought in their lives, to which even Parmenides stated that what is an unchanging perfect sphere encompassing all existence, such that nothing cannot exist, but he further thought that all sense of experience was just an illusion. During the same time all of this philosophical thinking, the Greeks developed a distinctive style in the visual arts now known as the archaic style, where they freely borrowed from both Egyptian and Persian civilizations. Since very little Greek wall painting survived, we know their art through pottery vases, where they were decorated in abstract and geometric designs. These techniques demonstrated the intricate designs that were used. The most common one that were used, as shown on the left bottom screen, was the large funeral vases that were used to mark death and graves of the most elite Athens. The red figure technique that is shown on the screen was entirely painted with the background of a scene and left unpainted in spots where the figures were left. Another form of art that emerged was those that formalized representation to naturalism. I know I may be pronouncing this wrong, but the most common form of archaic sculptures are known as kurus, which were freestanding nude male youth. This was extremely influenced by Egyptian statuary. During the classical period, Greece found its highest expressions in sacred architecture and sculpted human form. Greek temples were monuments of religious devotion and civic pride. The temples stood at the heart of sacred centers like Delphi and Olympus, where people gathered to worship and celebrate. During this period, art remained civic rather than a private pleasure, such as in decorating temples, treasuries, and sacred precedents. The Greeks did not only express their sense of art through sculptures, potteries, and vases, but also through theater, tragedy, and music. It was a common thing for people to gather in large amounts to express the many questions Athens had on things such as the power of God, the course of human destiny, and the nature of love and justice. Classical tragedy and comedy arose from this. One of the prime examples of the most admired tragedies of the classical period is known as Oedipus the King. Although tragedy dominated every street corner in Greece, comedy was also something ancient Greeks enjoyed. The greatest comedian of the Athenian Golden Age was Aristophanes, who wrote comic satires on philosophy, war, and love. Now here's a little bit of background information on the Romans. The Roman sense of history began with the city's founding around 753 BCE. At around 509 BCE, the Romans established a republic chosen to act for the people at large. After the leadership of Julius Caesar, every Roman leader strove to leave a memory of himself in stone. Statues and buildings were used as both a political and artistic advertisement. They impressed upon the people with the message of power and generosity. During this period, artists began to skillfully flourish. It is obvious that many Roman artists were inspired by the works of the Greeks due to the similarity found within structures and sculptures. The major difference would be the supplies used, of course. The Romans were most fortunate to have metals and sturdier material to withhold their buildings. During the reign of Augustus, the art began to flourish. He was the first Roman ruler to place statues and busts of his own image in public squares and buildings. The most impressive monument was the forum he built at the center of Rome, known as the Forum of Trajan. This was the site of important temples, law courts, shops, schools, and banks. The centerpiece was the Column of Trajan, which was a sculpted column depicting scenes of the emperor's victories over any rebellion. Romans as builders dedicated their practical ends to serve those in their community. These things included both legal and political affairs, religious ceremonies, baths, and libraries. One famous piece of development is known as the ark that has been used for many constructions. It was much more beneficial because it could hold more weight than the post and lintel. The buildings Romans built share how unordinary these people were and how extraordinary they were as engineers, conquerors, and administrators. Any important part of a Roman household was the furnishings and paintings. The typical Roman art is known as a portrait sculpture, which was used to honor a beloved family member. However, the primary decorative feature was found in the walls themselves. A famous example would be the Villa of Mysteries in Pompeii. Apparently, it depicted the reenactment of scenes from the life of the god Dionysus. Another minor Roman art is known as a mosaic, which were pictures made from tiny bits of colored marble or ceramic and then cemented to a floor or a wall. Unswept floor mosaic was a very popular one. The ancient Romans considered public entertainment to be a birthright of the Roman citizen. The origins of the drama lied in religious dances, and the development of the theater began with the influx of Greek culture as well. Romans borrowed their comedy directly from those in the Hellenistic times. Similar to the Greeks' tragic events, were necessary, and because of this, so were masks. They were intrigued by many people and was important because men played all the roles. The most spectacular musical instrument used was an organ called hydrolysis. It had a wide harmonic range and was heard across the amphitheater. Romans were also very strong in poetry as they were influenced by Greek civilization. All in all, there are many similarities found within the art in both Greek and Roman time periods. I believe the reason being is that since Greek art was founded first, Romans were greatly influenced and decided to imitate and make better from what they had learned. Since there is a difference in time periods, Romans were more benefited due to the advancements in technology and engineering. Structural sturdiness was easier, and so too were the use of supplies. Thank you all for listening.